Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zapersky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business. Hey, it's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm very excited to have Ryan Gottfredson joining us. Ryan, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on. You've got a great podcast, so I feel privileged to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on here today, Ryan. Let's dive in. So you work with organizations, teams, and employees to improve their mindsets and achieve greater success. How do you do that?
I've developed a framework. So one of my founding beliefs and what I've found through my own research, as well as looking into the academic research of others, is that our mindsets are foundational to our thinking, learning, and behavior. And consequently, they're foundational to our success in our life, our work, and our leadership. So if we can understand our mindsets, awaken to them, then we become empowered to improve them at a very foundational level in order to enhance our success. But one of the big problems is that most people aren't aware of what mindsets they need to have to be successful. So what I've done in my research and diving into the research of others is identified what mindsets are out there that have been studied and that have been found to move the needle on our thinking, learning, and behavior, and consequently our success. And as I've done this research, what I found is that there are 4 different sets of mindsets. Each set ranges on a continuum from negative to positive. And so I present this framework to organizations, organizational leaders to help them awaken to their mindsets, find out where they stand along each of these continuums, and then it helps them identify kind of the destination, what they need to shoot for in terms of improving their mindsets.
So mindset is an interesting area, right? A lot of people recognize the power of mindset. How have you found selling the improvement of one's mindset? Like going into an organization, is this something that people are actively looking for, or does it require some education, then need to come at it from a different angle to be able to get your foot in the door with organizations?
Yeah. So what I'm finding is I'm going to kind of categorize 3 types of organizations that I talk to. And the best organizations to work with me are those that they value mindsets. They're already talking about mindsets, but they don't really have tools and expertise to be able to focus on them and move the needle on mindsets in their organization. They're already bought into the mindset idea. They just need some help with it. And so those are the ideal clients, and those are the clients that I try to shoot for, is because I don't have to do any selling. They already get it. Then the second group of clients or potential clients are organizations or organizational leaders who know they need help and they want to be on the cutting edge. They value their people practices. They want to be on the cutting edge. They want to improve the leadership within their organization. They want to enhance the agility of the organization, but they're not really sure the best way to do it. But in their searching, they're wanting something new. They're wanting something different. They're a little bit open to the idea of mindsets. They're not really sure what they are and the power that they have, but they're at least open to talking about it. And then there's the third group, which is probably the largest group, which is they really know nothing about mindsets. They don't necessarily have within their capacity or within their budget the ability to think strategically about really moving the needle on leadership effectiveness and organizational agility. But if I could talk to them, sit down with them for a short period of time and help them to see the value of mindsets, it's really interesting because their eyes start to light up. And it's like, oh my goodness, I've never thought about this before, but you're so right. Just depending on the type of customer, there's different levels of kind of introduction to the topic that needs to happen.
And then Ryan, your ideal client, right, is an organization that already understands the importance of mindset, as you mentioned. But how do you identify them? I mean, you can't go onto LinkedIn and use a search kind of filter criteria for companies that are mindset aware or looking to improve their mindset. So what have you found as the best way to identify or get you closer to those organizations that are already thinking about that?
Yeah, and I'm going to be fully transparent here. I've been really solely focused on doing this for just over a year. My full-time gig is a professor at Cal State Fullerton. I'm a leadership professor there. And I used to be a Gallup consultant for a year. When I left Gallup to come back to Cal State Fullerton, I started up my own practice, and this has been my focus. And so over the last year or so, I've thrown almost everything that I could think of against the wall to see what sticks. I'm going to be honest, I'm still in that learning process. but I can talk to some of the things that haven't worked and some of the things that have worked. One of the things that I thought would work really well was public speaking, just going out, trying to speak to different organizations and groups, do trainings within organizations. While that's been beneficial in terms of bringing in revenue for my business, it hasn't been very beneficial in terms of identifying people who are wanting to focus on mindsets. Where I've gotten the most traction has involved guest posting for different outlets. So I guest post for Association for Talent Development, Training Industry, SHRM. That has a wider circulation base that's really worldwide. Mm-hmm. And the people who really read those articles are the ones who already are interested in mindsets generally. So that's one avenue that's been really good. And then the other two other avenues that are very similar is doing webinars for those same outlets, or else getting on podcasts like your own, where you're just talking to a lot more people. What I feel like I'm finding is there's a small percentage of people out there that already value mindsets. And I've got to figure out a way to get in front of them. And the odds of them kind of being local to where I'm at in terms of kind of live speaking engagements is going to be really low. But if I could get out there in a mass quantity, then that's going to be really beneficial. And that's where I've seen the biggest bang for my buck.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm glad that you're sharing that, because you've clearly chosen a path where leverage exists, right? Getting into these other organizations or associations, they already have the list, they already have the membership. They are then going to promote your content. But someone listening right now might go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I can see how that could work. I'd like to get in front of my own audience through a leveraged approach, as Ryan has done as well. How did you do that? Was it as simple as reaching out to the executive director or someone on the blog or marketing team? What were the actual steps that you took to go from initial conversation or outreach to actually getting your article up on one of these places?
I kind of took an approach where I saw outlets that would be a reach, outlets that I thought, oh, this is doable, and then kind of more blogging. What I did is just in terms of where I focus is primarily within the organizational behavior, human resources, leadership development space. What are the best outlets out there? And of course, there's outlets like Harvard Business Review, Forbes, Entrepreneur. You can even think about Huffington Post, Inc. I identified those, and then I kind of saw those just starting out as my reach outlets. And then I identified what I would call kind of the next tier down. And maybe this is even a little bit more specialized around the human resources industry for myself. So this is the Association of Talent Development, SHRM, Training Industry. And then in addition to that, I've been looking into popular blogs. So what are the best HR blogs? What are the best leadership blogs? What are the best talent and development blogs? And identified, so essentially I came up with a list of all these, and I just started writing articles and then pitching them to these different lists. So you can identify how to submit to each of these outlets. It kind of didn't surprise me, as it's really hard to get into that top tier. Mm-hmm. So I've pitched there multiple times. I have yet to be accepted there. But that next tier down, I'm batting about 100%.
What's your approach? Let's just break that down. I want to get very kind of tactical for a moment here. So you're already writing the article. Are you doing one publication at a time, or are you sending kind of the pitch, quote unquote, to a bunch of different publications and seeing which one grabs at it first?
Yeah. So, and Mindsets is great because it's really applicable to everything. So that's something that is unique to my topic. And so I would generally kind of have base information that I want to convey. I can adapt maybe the introduction and the conclusion for that particular outlet and what they're looking for. And so I did a little bit of that as I'm pitching to groups. So the bigger outlets, they've all got an email that's like pitch@forbes.com. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of submit there and you cross your fingers and you hope for something good. The next tier down level, you can generally identify a contact person that's over maybe their blog or the guest posts that they have. And if you can't identify that on their website, you could probably identify somebody that you can reach out to point you in the right direction. And so there's a much more direct feel there. And so that's what I was able to do with Association for Talent Development, SHRM, and Training Industry, is I was just able to identify an individual that's responsible for posting this material. And I said, hey, I've got this article. What do you think? And all of them have been very on board with posting really whatever I have to write. Now when I write, I still occasionally will send out to Forbes and Harvard Business Review and things like that. And I hope to do more of that in the future. But I recognize that I need to develop my own reputation. And no better place to start with some of these, going to say, more specialized outlets and build up a reputation there, generate some success and some wins, which then I think hopefully a future point in time will catapult me into publishing some articles in some higher tier outlets.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will. We've seen this and spoken with many other consultants who have gone down this path. And what you're doing right now is planting the seeds, right?
Yep.
If you have the expectation that you plant and you can right away cultivate, right? It's just not going to happen. It takes some time. And the other thing that's really smart about what you're doing that others can learn from is that by targeting just those, kind of one tier down or more specialized publications, it's like the same in speaking or writing. You're now building up your track record. And now when you go back to the Harvard Business Reviews or whoever else it might be, or whatever stages you want to get onto, if it's speaking, you can now show that you've been published in all these other places. And that collectively adds to your credentials, to your visibility, kind of authority and expertise, and helps you to get to those bigger and bigger places.
And just another element of that I think has allowed me to connect with clients maybe better than I'm going to say most. I don't know. I'm making an assumption here. But one of the elements that I do with my articles and what I do with my practice is I've developed a personal mindset assessment that people can take to assess their mindsets and really help awaken them to their mindsets. And so I have this personal assessment. It's free. Anybody could go to my website and take it, but I'll try my best to embed essentially an email collector into these posts or into my articles so that people say, read the article. It's all about mindsets and how mindsets are important. And then it's, here you can click here and find out what mindsets that you have. Mm-hmm. Now this establishes a connection between me and the individuals who take the assessment and allows me to kind of connect with them moving forward. So I've got a blog on the back end that I write weekly. So people are hearing from me every week. They know what I do. This allows me to build trust with them. And when they say, hey, we're doing a leadership development program, this guy's producing some pretty interesting stuff in terms of content around mindsets. We've seen him produce this over a period of time. Now we want to pull the trigger. Let's reach out to him and see if we can bring him in.
So are you finding that path of someone reading on a specialized publication or association website, they read your article, they click to the assessment that you offer, they fill that in, they join your list, you are sending weekly articles or content to them. Is that converting into leads and clients for you?
Yeah, for sure. And then I would say most of my time in the last year or so has been reaching out, trying to generate business. Mm-hmm. Honestly, my hit rate is like, less than 1%. But kind of taking a little bit this more passive approach, just trying to get out to more and more people. Well, I'm able to get in front of certain individuals that it just happens to be the right time. They're already focusing on mindsets. They're really quite quick to pick up the phone and say, oh my goodness, this is what we've been looking for. We just haven't found anything like this before. And it's a really easy sell for me at that point. So when somebody calls me up, now my batting average is, if they have the budget, it's 100%. The only reason people haven't gone with me is because they don't feel like they have the budget to do so.
Right.
And so it's a really high hit rate if I could get in front of people who are already looking for me, essentially.
Let's talk now more about mindset, right? This is your area of expertise. In your experience, Ryan, can a consultant influence a buyer's mindset before they become a client as part of the sales process? So knowing what you know about mindset, are there certain things that a consultant can apply as part of their conversation, as part of the sales process to be able to influence or win more business?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that I've learned about mindsets, and particularly negative mindsets. So let me give you a taste of what some of these negative mindsets are. So one negative mindset is called a fixed mindset. And this is when we have a fixed mindset, we have a tendency to shy away from challenges because we don't want to fail. Another mindset is a closed mindset where we want to be seen as being right. We're not very open to others' ideas because that can be disconfirming to us. Another mindset, negative mindset, is a prevention mindset where we're trying not to lose. We don't want any problems to occur. And an inward mindset is the last mindset. And this is when we see ourselves as being more important than others. Thus, we see them as objects. And one of the things that I've learned about all four of these negative mindsets is that they're largely driven by fear. And so when we generally talk to clients, one of the things that we need to be sensitive to is what are their fears? Because if we can identify what their fears are, then we could kind of identify what their mindset is. I would say one of the most common fears that I see in potential clients is they have a fear of getting it wrong. So they're looking for a consultant, they're looking for a trainer, they're looking for a leadership developer. They're really fearful about bringing in somebody who's going to miss the mark. And so that's something that, just to begin with, I as a consultant need to be really sensitive to, and I need to try my best to ease that right away. And so I've got to think about different ways that I could do that. So for one example is I try my best to collect data around the speaking and training engagements that I do. And I could say, hey, I've done X many of these. Here's my evaluation scores. And I'm very happy to share it with you. In fact, here's a whole list of testimonials saying how great I am. And I just say, I'm not doctoring these up. This is exactly the data from every training that I've done and the ones that I've been able to collect data for. And so they're able to see both the positive feedback and the negative feedback right away. Hopefully that's one step in kind of removing, I think, a pretty base fear and negative mindset that they have.
Yeah, no, that's a really great example. So thanks for sharing that. Now let's talk about the mindset of consultants. And this is an area that I'm very passionate about. It's the reason that I wrote the Elite Consulting Mind book. Really, like what I'm wondering about is, in all of your research and all the work that you've been doing around mindset, what do you see as being maybe some of the biggest like blocks or limiting beliefs that hold back consultants and professionals from realizing more of their potential?
While we work with a lot of seasoned and experienced consultants here at Consulting Success, I'm often contacted by new early stage consultants. Invariably, the question I'm asked is, what are the steps I should take to become a successful consultant and grow my consulting business to my first 6 figures per year? Well, I'm excited to announce that we've opened the doors for our Momentum program. This is our most popular program for early stage consultants, and it has helped almost 1,000 consultants to start, run, and grow successful consulting businesses. It gives you the step-by-step plan to help you with your messaging, your fees, and pricing strategies, how to win more proposals, how to go to market more effectively, developing a marketing system to generate leads consistently, and so much more. And right now, until September the 19th, you can sign up for Momentum and get 50% off the regular price by going to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Only 100 spots are available to join Momentum and get 50% off. This deal is only available until September the 19th or until all 100 spots are gone. We won't be opening up new spots in this program for several months, so don't wait. Go to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO.
Yeah, for everybody, it's just different depending on the mindsets that they have. And it revolves around the 4 mindsets that I just mentioned. And so maybe just to quickly go through some of those.
Or let's take an example maybe from one of those that you see as being quite common. Maybe it's something that you even experienced yourself building your consulting business, or you see quite often with other consultants.
Yeah, so let me go to the closed versus open mindset. So when we have a closed mindset, we're closed to the ideas and suggestions of others. And when we have an open mindset, we're open to the ideas and suggestions of others, and we're willing to take them seriously. So most consultants, we see ourselves as experts. And it's really important for us to be seen as being right. When we see ourselves as the expert and we value being seen as being right, what ends up happening is we have a tendency to not ask questions. We don't want to invite new perspectives. When somebody disagrees with us, we may see that as a threat and get defensive because ultimately we think that what we know is right.
Mm-hmm.
And that shuts us down from hearing the perspectives of others, even our clients, which is we got to be able to listen. So that's when we have a closed mindset. The open mindset is really different. And that's when, rather than being focused on being right and being seen as being right, we want to find truth. And we want to think optimally. And when that's what we value and that's what we're after, then we're open to the perspectives of others. We invite new ideas. We ask questions. We listen. And when somebody disagrees with us, we don't get defensive. We see it as an opportunity to learn. And because we actually believe that we don't know everything, that we could be wrong. And so there's two places where I see this play out when it comes to consultants. One is when we have a closed mindset, we have a tendency to be closed to the ideas of mentors or others who say, hey, look, you're going down this path, but I'm not sure that's the best path. We may be a little closed to saying, I want to go on this path over here. That's where I feel like my mission, my purpose is. And so we close ourselves off to what might be a really great idea because we want to do what we want to do, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do for us.
Ryan, yeah, we had like just an interesting example. Like as you're speaking right now, I'm just thinking of a conversation that happened just the other day with a consultant who reached out. I want to grow my business. I want to be able to attract more clients consistently. And so we talked with them about what they had done to this point and really offered a few suggestions. Their initial response was, no, I've tried it. Like I've done all that. And we said to them, well, what does your revenue look like? And we went through all that kind of stuff. They're generating less than $5,000 per month in revenue. We said, well, maybe you tried some of that stuff before. Maybe you've done these things, but if you're only generating $5,000 a month in revenue right now, you clearly haven't done them as well as they could be done. And it's not about, that person per se, but back to like your open versus closed mindset. If someone looks at something and it's like, yeah, I've tried something once, I did some of it. And in their mind, maybe they've given it like a good go, but an open mindset would be more, yeah, okay, I've tried this, but clearly I haven't done it to the degree that I should have, or I must be missing something because I'm not getting the results that I should be getting from it yet. And we see that in our most successful clients are the ones who look at a challenge that they're having and, they're not closed to trying new things or even approaching it a little bit differently. They're going to be as open as possible to adapting, making changes. And ultimately that's where they see the greatest success.
Yeah, what you're just talking about there, that leads into just another set of mindsets, which is the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. So when we have a growth mindset, we believe that we can improve our talents, intelligence, and abilities. But when we have a fixed mindset, we don't believe that we can improve our talents, intelligence, and abilities. And so when we have a fixed mindset and we don't believe that we can improve, and if we were to fail, then what ends up happening is we're left interpreting that failure as though we are a failure because we don't think that we can improve. And so when we have this fixed mindset, we have this fear, we develop this fear of failure. And with this fear of failure, we also have a fear of challenges because challenge leads to a likelihood of failure. And so that's what those with a fixed mindset get focused on is just, I don't want to fail. I don't want to try anything new because I'm scared of what that might say about me if I don't do well. But those that have a growth mindset, they don't even think in that regard because they see challenge and failure as opportunities to learn, grow, and improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so
true.
I think that that's one of the big kind of mental limitations that people have is that they don't maybe internally, and they probably don't even recognize it, is that internally they don't believe that they can grow, develop, and improve, or at least they think that it's too hard to do so. And so when they're challenged with something, they're like, no, like that's asking a little too much of me. Whereas somebody who has a growth mindset, they take the attitude, bring it on, let's try it out. What do I have to lose?
And it doesn't mean that someone who has a growth mindset is going to always be positive and never worry. I mean, I see this all the time with successful consultants, and even the way that I, feel at times where there's some worry or there's some concern. That's a sign of wanting to improve. If you're always, happy with exactly what you have, and you're not looking and applying critical thinking to your business, like if there's no worry at all, there's a very good chance that you're going to become complacent. And so what I've seen is that the best ideas, the greatest growth happens when you continue to look at what you're doing and how you can improve it, which connects directly back to the whole growth mindset. And I couldn't agree more with what you said, Ryan, about this idea that if you have a growth mindset, you might still feel fear around a challenge, right? You might still feel like I'm venturing into new waters. This is uncomfortable. But the difference is that you know that you need to do that in order to get what you want. And in order to be able to grow, you have to try new things. You have to, put it out there, and you might not get the result that you want. But now you've taken one step closer to getting the ultimate result that you want because you've eliminated what doesn't work. And I personally have found the greatest failure is not to try, because if you don't, then you're going to regret. And to me, regret is probably the worst failure that you can have. And there's an easy way to avoid that, which is simply to take action and to learn from that. And in every single business that I've ever been involved in, and in studying the most successful people that I've studied over the years, one thing that they all do, and they all do consistently, is they take action. And sometimes they take action before they even have all of the answers. And I think that, what I've observed is that many consultants like to try and have things just perfect. They want to have all their ducks in a row, right? Everything like lined up, everything perfected before they go and take action. Back to what you're saying, Ryan, because there's fear there of what if it doesn't work out? Yep. But the most successful people, right, don't wait for everything to just be ready. They go and they take action now, and they recognize that, I'm going to make mistakes, but I'll learn along the way. And that's why they're so much further ahead than those who wait and try and perfect everything, because they've already gotten out of the gate and they've already made those course corrections, and they're much further along than the person still at the starting line, right? Just kind of preparing to get going.
Yeah, let me give you a quick case study of myself. And I'm not proclaiming myself to be the most successful consultant in the world. I'm wanting to head in that direction. But during my journey of trying to figure out how do I make this successful, and I'm throwing everything against the wall, one of the things that I felt like I was encouraged to do by other podcasters and other coaches was, you need to look into doing an online course. And I thought, man, an online course actually would be pretty cool. And one of the things that I felt like everybody was talking about, this is a great passive stream of income. It establishes you as an expert. And I'm thinking, I want a passive stream of income. I want to be seen as an expert. Why don't I do this? And so I had a vision for this really big kind of leadership development online course. But then I thought, well, before I do this really big course, I know nothing about online courses. Let me do something that's a little bit smaller scale, just to help me learn the process. So I think I was a little bit strategic there, which was good because I didn't feel like I was putting all of my eggs in one basket. And so what I ended up doing is I developed a small little online course about how to develop your resume. I have some previous experience working with resumes. It's really just an hour-long course called Standout Resume Course. And so I developed it, and it just wasn't as successful as I would have liked. But I learned some very valuable lessons through that process. One, an online course is not near as passive as what I was led to believe, that it's actually a lot of work to make it successful. Another thing I learned is that essentially I focus on mindsets. I don't focus on resumes. So essentially, my resume course was a side hustle to my side hustle. And I just didn't have the bandwidth to focus on my side hustle to my side hustle. And so at the end of the day, what it did for me, I would count it in monetarily, I would say that it's a failure. But I look at it as a success because now I have such greater precision in the direction that I need to head down to be successful. I'm not ruling out online courses moving forward in the future, but I'm just not in the place where I feel like I could capitalize on that in the way that I need to. And that was a great lesson for me in terms of just trying things out and learning from failure, or even if they fail. And at the end of the day, if you do it for the right reasons, I think whatever you do, you're going to win because you're going to end up in a better and more secure place.
Yeah, that's a really good example as well. And it's, I think, quite a common question we get asked by some of our clients in our Clarity program who have heard the same thing. Like, create an online course. It's a great way to leverage your time and generate passive income, make money while you're in your pajamas and sleeping. But you're right, it is a lot of work. And I've found and observed that in most cases, it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to go out and get a consulting client, right? Or get some kind of gig related to a workshop or something like that than developing a course and making it profitable. Because creating the course is the easy part, right? The marketing behind it and being prepared to invest dollars into advertising and really get it up and running. Like when it works. And we've done this many times over the years with a lot of success, but it doesn't happen quickly. And it certainly does take a lot of work. Starting a course or starting some kind of digital product is like starting a new business, right? It really does take focus. And I think that's for people to consider, like when you have all these different ideas that come your way, you got to get really clear on what is the end result that you actually want. And then look at which path is the one that's going to get you there fastest. Like maybe if your end goal is to generate, let's just say $250,000 this year, and you want to work X number of hours, maybe doing the course isn't the most efficient and effective path for you. Maybe it actually only takes 1 or 2 more clients for you to reach that number with the number of hours you want to work just by providing consulting. So there is no right or wrong. Like, I'm a very big believer. There's so many people out there that say like, yeah, no, courses are the best, or webinars are the best, or this is the best. And to me, that's just all rubbish. It's not about finding the best. It's like, what is the best for you, for your specific situation, and then leaning into that.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect perspective. Yeah, I'm not trying to scare people saying online courses can't work for people. I just learned through the process is all, and it just wasn't for me and what I was trying to do and what my goals were. And, that's okay. It's not to say it isn't that way for other people.
Yeah, definitely. And so, Ryan, I want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and your experience of building your consulting business to this point. I'm excited to continue hearing how it develops. And I know that you're going to have continued greater and greater success. But I want to make sure that people can also learn more about you, maybe have an opportunity to take that mindset assessment that you've created and just read more of your work. So where's the best place for them to go to do that?
Yeah, thanks for being willing to let me share this. So I think the best way is just to go to my website, which is ryangottfredson.com. And on my homepage, you can find my mindset assessment. If you were to take it, you'll get some results that compare your mindsets along each of the 4 continuums that we talked about, compared to thousands of others who have taken the assessment. And so you'll see where your mindset stacks up essentially relative to everybody else, really awaken to where you're at, and then where you need to go to unlock greater success within your consulting business. And so hopefully that's a really awakening thing for you and inspires you to see the world differently so that you can operate differently as you go about your business.
Fantastic. We'll have all that linked up in the show notes. Ryan, again, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.